Ovo je Diplomata, televizijski format koji Euronews realizuje u saradnji sa magazinom Diplomacy and Commerce. Gledat ćete nas premijerno svake subote u 21 čas i reprizno nedeljom u 16 i ponedeljkom u 18 časova. U prvoj emisiji imat ćete priliku da čujete intervju sa Akirom Imamurom, ambasadorom Japana u Srbiji. Vidjet ćete i kakva je bila atmosfera na nekolicini diplomatskih događaja koji su organizovani u Beogradu ovog meseca. A sada prelazimo na diplomatske vesti. Ukazima predsjednika Aleksandra Vučića, koji su objavljeni u službenom glasniku, poznata su imena novopostavljenih ambasadora Srbije u Bugarskoj, Sloveniji, Etiopiji i Sjedinjenim Američkim Državama. Kako se navodi, na dužnost izvanrednog i opunomoćenog ambasadora Srbije u Sloveniji postavljen je Ivo Vojvodić, u Bugarskoj Milan Ravić, u Etiopiji Davor Trkulja, a u Sjedinjenim Državama Dragan Šutanovac. Sa zadovoljstvom mogu da saopštim da će Mark Brnović biti sljedeći ambasador Sjedinjenih Država u Srbiji. Mark je ponosni veteran nacionalne garde, a ranije je bio i državni tužilac velike države Arizona. Kao sin izbeglica koji su pobegli iz komunizma, Mark će biti snažan zagovornik slobode i uvek će Ameriku stavljati na prvo mesto. Čestitam Mark, naveo je Donald Trump na svojoj mreži Truth Social. Odlaskom sa ambasadorskog mesta karijernog diplomate Christophera Hilla kao novi ambasadori SAD-a u Srbiji, pored Brnovića, pominjao se i Rod Blagojević, koji je u delu srpskih medija proglašavan za glavnog favorita, pogotovo kada je nekadašnji guverner Illinoisa posetio Srbiju u februaru. Međutim, ta pozicija pripala je američkom advokatu, veteranu i političaru Marku Brnoviću. Njegov dolazak u Srbiju očekuje se u naredna 2 meseca nakon što američki senat odobri njegovo imenovanje. Dear viewers, welcome to the show The Diplomat. My name is Mijat Kontić and our today's guest will be the ambassador of Japan to Serbia, His Excellency Akira Imamura. Your Excellency, thank you for joining us and being a part of our very special first episode of The Diplomat.
Oh, thank you for having me today.
It's great to have you too. The first question that we would like to start off is with something that's actually a symbol of Japan in Belgrade, and those are, of course, the yellow buses that are very famous around our city. A few weeks ago, you initiated the retirement send-off of these Japanese yellow buses that your government actually donated to the city of Belgrade back in 2003. And this example is just one of many examples of donations from Japan to Serbia. On the other hand, during the earthquake and tsunami in Fukushima in 2011, Serbia was among the first to send humanitarian aid to the country. How important are these gestures between the two countries?
Well, I think it's very important. Somebody told me in Serbia that we are true friends, and quoting the proverb, friends in need are friends indeed. And I think it's true, because we've been helping in the time of trouble. And the event that you mentioned, these 93 actually yellow buses that we provided in 2003 was nicknamed Japanci, Japanese, and become a symbol of our friendship. And back in 2003, we're one of the first countries to come to Serbia to provide support after the devastating war in 1990s. And then in 2011, as you mentioned, the Great East Japan earthquake hit, and nearly 20,000 people has died or missing. So Serbia was one of the first countries to approach us and provide a relief fund. And we Japanese still remember this very generous gesture. And then further on in 2014, there was also a very big flood in Serbia, which we, of course, came very quickly to provide with relief equipment and supplies. So we've been helping each other in the course of our friendly relations. And the event that you mentioned that we held a couple of weeks ago, it was, of course, after 20 years of hard work, we had to send off for the retirement of these Japanci or Japanese. But also one of the very few remaining ones have been donated to the enthusiasts of public transportation. It's a group of people who love operating formal, buses and cars. And it will be used for school kids, for their field trips, for social studies and so forth. So it was also, the event was also not just farewell, but also to celebrate their second life. And it was a handover ceremony.
So they're not completely in retirement, they're actually continuing their lives on.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
That's amazing, that's great. And now that we're also on the topic of relations, 3 years ago, the Embassy of Japan, at the Embassy of Japan, we attended the reception on the occasion of 140 years of friendly relations between our two countries. Historically, this first official correspondence between the two countries took place in 1882, when Milan Obrenović, the first Serbian king after the liberation from the Turks, addressed the then Japanese emperor and great reformer Meiji, informing him of his coronation. In the reply of the Japanese sovereign, it is stated that the Japanese recognize Serbia as an independent state. How important are relations with relatively small and distant countries such as Serbia to Japan?
Well, thank you for participating in this ceremony. 3 years ago, it's already 3 years ago. I think, Japan has been trying a lot to create a stable and a predictable international environment. And the Western Balkans is no exception. Of course, you may ask, as you did, why Japan is interested in Western Balkans so far away of its own country. But my answer is that we really interested in the stability of Europe, especially European Union, our strategic partner. When it's united strongly, it's in our interest. And when the European states are inviting this part of the Europe, the Western Balkans, to join European accession, European Union as a member, it will bring more stability, in our view, in this, not just only in Western Balkans, but entirely in Europe.
So globally as well, yeah?
Yes, as globally. So that's the reason why we are helping Western Balkan countries, including Serbia, to join European Union. And Serbia, amongst the Western Balkan nations, holds the key to the stability of this region. And that's why we've been cooperating with your country as a very important partner, following the initiative, the Western Balkans Cooperation Initiative that former Prime Minister Abe has announced during his trip in Belgrade in 2018. So that's the long answer to your question.
Now, I would like to talk to you about Expo. Expo 2025 opened in Osaka on April 13th, and a specialized expo should be held in Serbia in 2 years. What does this manifestation mean for your country, for yourself, and how many countries will participate in it?
Yes, the expo has just started for 6 months. It's called Expo 2025 Osaka, Kansai, Japan. It will be a platform for more than 160 countries, regions, and international organizations to jointly create the future, to address the global challenges that all of us are facing. And this is very important also for Serbia, because, as you said, it immediately precedes the Expo 27 in Belgrade. And we really appreciate Serbia's participation through its own pavilion. It's a great contribution to our joint common theme of designing future society for our lives. And it's also important for Serbia because Serbia is going to send multiple high-level delegations, both business and political leaders from Serbia will be visiting the site to promote our bilateral relations. So this is a great opportunity, and I would like to invite more and more Serbian people come to visit Osaka to experience this future that we are jointly will be creating.
And I think that there is a good interest in Serbian people in Japan for that as well. As something that I would also like to talk about is your diplomatic journey. Your journey took you from Russia through Canada, Australia, Britain, Georgia, and then Serbia. And you were often in those countries at politically important moments, if I may say so. It has been 20 years since you last visited our country. How does Serbia look to you 2 decades later down the line?
Well, it was the first time I came to Serbia once again after 20 years, and I'm so delighted how much Serbia has developed. A lot of new buildings, people are enjoying their lives. So I'm very much enjoying the work and life here in Serbia. People are very warm and very open to foreigners like us. That makes our work and life very comfortable. So that's that. And you mentioned about the changes that we have witnessed over the course of 20 years. I think one of the things that relates to this economic development is macroeconomic stability that you have achieved in recent years. Now you have been inviting a lot of foreign investors, including from Japan, which leading to increase of economic development, economic growth. And I think last year you were one of the highest growers in Europe, contributing to the economy in this region. So I think this is a great achievement that you have made. In 2005, when I was here 20 years ago, I could feel still this shadow of war in the 1990s. But now the peace has taken root in this region, and the Western Balkan leaders meeting, holding regular meetings, which we welcome very much. Unfortunately, the normalization of relations between Belgrade and Pristina has not been achieved. But we support EU-mediated dialogue between the two parties, and we really hope that two parties will start to implement the agreements that has been achieved so far, and we will be looking for constructive efforts towards that end.
So what do you like the most in Belgrade and Serbia? What have you been able to visit here, and what are some of your favorite places? And as well, while we're on that, I would like to ask you, what do you think we do well as people, as Serbian people, and where could we learn from you, the Japanese?
Well, I already mentioned that the people are very nice to us in Serbia. That's what I like most. They're very wonderful people and very hardworking, very eager to learn. On the other hand, one of my favorite places in Serbia that I've visited is kafanas in Belgrade. I like this bohemian atmosphere, and especially the music played there is very of my liking. For example, very old music, folk music from 1960s and 70s. It gives me a strong feeling of nostalgia and very Balkan melodies. So those are the things that I like most, I enjoy. Talking about the best part of Serbia, especially in the economic sectors, I think one of the best achievements that you have done is in IT sectors. And I was attending one of the demonstration events by Serbian startups to make a pitch to Japanese investors. And I was so impressed with the innovative ideas, which is, has a great potential to cooperate with Japanese investors. You asked what are the areas where you can learn from Japan, if there's anything that you can learn from us, maybe that could be a circular economy. There's a Japanese language expression, mottainai, meaning it's too valuable to waste. And it's part of our traditional culture to recycle already. But of course, we're facing this huge question of climate change and environmental issues. So there's a very strong need for international cooperation. Japan and Serbia are already cooperating each other in the energy from waste project in Vincha. But Japanese companies are very much willing, ready to share their technologies and experience even further with their country.
It's great that you mentioned Japanese companies because I'm wondering how many actually of the Japanese companies are currently in Serbia? How many workers do they employ while they're here? And are there any plans to open any more in the future?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are 35 companies now operating in Japan, in Serbia. You might see this number is relatively small, but in recent years there has been numbers of bigger investments, and for the first time in the history, in 2023, Japan has become one of the 10 biggest investors. The newest investment project that has just recently opened in April is by a company called JFE Shoji. And they have started to produce parts for automotive motors. And what is interesting is that they are going to supply these parts to another Japanase company in Novi Sad, Nidec.
So they're connected to companies, yeah.
Exactly. So it's the first time that Japanese companies are forming supply chain network within Serbia, and that is giving a very positive signal to other Japanese companies, potential investors to Serbia, to think about future investment. So this is could be a game changer in the next step of our cooperation. I hope that this will also be a contribution to the electric vehicle supply chain network that Serbian government has announced to develop in the future. Those two companies have been making EV parts already now in the territory of Serbia. Now still exporting to EU market, but if there is a chance to contribute to EV supply chain in the future within Serbia, they are ready to do so. So I hope that this will be the case.
Now, some fun facts for our viewers is that you have the same name like the famous Japanese director Akira Kurosawa, whose work our audience has followed in Rashomon all the way back in 1950. The domestic public also follows the contemporary Japanese artists and writers such as Haruki Murakami as well. How familiar is the work of our artists and creators to the Japanese public?
You mentioned Haruki Murakami. If you talk about writers, of course, Ivo Andrić is been translated to Japanese. I think almost all the major works by him can be read in our language. Talking about other areas, filmmaker Emil Kusturica is very famous and very popular in Japan. Again, most of his major works can be seen with Japanese subtitles. And you might heard that Japan-Serbia Film Festival is annually held both in Tokyo and Belgrade. And it's a great opportunity to watch newer films of Serbia in Japan. And about music, I think there's a regular visit by Serbian musicians to come to Japan to perform. Just to give you this year's example, the Serbian violinist Nemanja Radulović played in Japan together with one of the most prestigious symphony orchestra, Yomiuri, in Tokyo. And that was in January. Then in February, young pianists came to Japan to play also classical music, but by relatively unknown to Japanese people, Serbian composers at the Embassy of Serbia in Tokyo. So this is very good examples. But also in this year, because of thanks to Osaka Expo, there will be events planned during the 6 months, featuring both Japanese and Serbian artists to play together.
So they'll both be collaborating there, yeah?
Yes. So this year will be another great opportunity for Japanese audience to get acquainted with Serbian culture.
That's great to hear. So 2 years ago, our company broke the Guinness record for the largest group of people with the same first and last name in the world, with 256 people called Milica Jovanović. Before that, this record was held by the Japanese, with a group of 178 people called Hirokazu Tanaka. After that, there was even a Zoom meeting between people named Milica Jovanović and Hirokazu Tanaka, some of whom actually even became friends, and hopefully maybe even more than that. On this regard, I would like to ask you how many Serbian citizens are currently in Japan, people from our country who work for you or have found a spouse there.
Yes. I heard that there are about 260 Serbian people now living in Japan. I don't know how many of them are Milica Jovanović, but they, of course, working in Japan or married to Japanese nationals living now in Japan. But this figure does not include those people who have visited Japan for a short travel.
Yeah.
And we have the figure around 4,200 Serbian people.
Touristically, right?
Tourists visiting Japan for a short period. So if you take any given moment of the time in a year, this 260 could be a little bit more if you include the short stay people. However, even with that, I think the number of Serbians visiting Japan is relatively small compared to those visiting European countries.
Of course, I mean, the distance and everything.
We don't have direct flights so far. So I would like to have them visit more to Japan. I know Serbian people, especially younger generation, are interested in Japanese culture.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'd like to invite them especially to study, and we accept applications for those students who would like to study under the government-sponsored scholarship in Japan. We accept applications annually. You can, of course, if you know Japanese language, that's an advantage, but there's a number of universities now increasing to study using only English. So
it's not required, it's optional that you know Japanese, so it's not a must.
Yes. Depending on the course that you apply for, but you can study in English, so we welcome those people who wish to come to Japan.
And I hope they hear your call and actually do apply and come to Japan.
Yes.
Now, since World War II, Japan has been on the same side usually as the US and Western Europe on most global issues. How do you now look at these differences of opinion over the war in Ukraine between the new Trump administration and the European Union?
Well, I think it's very important for those diplomatic efforts to achieve ceasefire in Ukraine to be led to the real, more comprehensive ceasefire and just and lasting peace in Ukraine. And Japan has been putting a lot of effort to support Ukraine, at the same time imposing strong sanctions against Russia, especially in cooperation with other G7 countries, including, of course, the United States, Canada, and other European states. In March this year, G7 foreign ministers met, and they welcomed these efforts, diplomatic efforts, to achieve the ceasefire. If you look at our region, in the Pacific region, where Japan is situated, we see increasing linkage between the security of Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic, European security situation. And it is totally unacceptable, if you look at these two regions, to see the attempts to change the status quo by force, unilaterally by force. That is something that not acceptable to many of our countries, including Serbia. So we've been saying that today's Ukraine could be tomorrow's East Asia. We are very much concerned about the situation in Ukraine. That's why we are putting a lot of efforts diplomatically also and providing assistance to Ukrainian people.
And for our last question, It seems that in Japan, where 2 atomic bombs were dropped, there is very little anti-American sentiment, while in Serbia, after 1999, it is still present. What do you think is the difference, and what is needed for nations to start cooperating and respecting each other again after big wars and hostilities between them? What is the Japanese recipe for this situation?
I think we need to go back to 1930s when Japan was struck in a deadlock. And unfortunately, in order to overcome this deadlock, Japan decided to resort to war, use force, and go to the path. That's a wrong track. So based on this recognition after the war, Japan determined itself to become a peaceful country and never repeat this tragedy once again. We've been making us clear that we deeply remorse about what we have done in this region, especially in Asia, and repeatedly apologize to the countries we are inflicted by Japanese atrocities. So I think it's important also on the side of those other countries which fought with us, showing their tolerance. And there were people on these countries trying to achieve reconciliation with us. So with those, of course, there were people also on the side of Japan as well. So with many of those countries, we have achieved reconciliations, including with the United States. Of course, we really has to tell the world this devastating, inhumane nature of the damage that caused to people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki as a result of the atomic bombing in 1945 in August. But instead of hatred, we have been advocating putting our efforts to achieve a peaceful world without nuclear weapons, so that these weapons will never be used again. And in order to achieve this, we've been resorting to a realistic and steady approach towards nuclear disarmament. So for Western Balkan countries, I think something may be useful if you look at our approach. Maybe it's to try to learn a lesson from the history and also some wisdom for the future. And also it's very important for each of us to show tolerance towards different cultures, different peoples, and try to achieve reconciliation after the war. Those are, I think, the approaches that you can maybe use in this region.
Your Excellency, thank you once again for joining us and taking the time to speak with us. And as for our dear viewers, thank you for your attention. My name is Mijat Kontić, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Diplomat.
U ambasadi Velike Britanije u Beogradu 9. aprila održan je uskršnji bazar organizacije Etnomreža, koja se bavi pitanjima ekonomskog osnaživanja žena iz ruralnih područja, kao i promovisanjem autentičnog nematerijalnog kulturnog nasleđa Srbije. Gostima u rezidenciji srdačnu dobrodošlicu uputio je ambasador Edward Ferguson, koji je podsjetio na to da je bazar u saradnji sa Etnomrežom prvi put uspješno organizovan za Božić ove godine, nakon čega je usledilo okupljanje u susretu Uskrsu.
Hvala svima što ste došli i što podržavate ovu neverovatnu organizaciju koja je odradila odličan posao ekonomski osnažujući žene širom Srbije. Zadovoljstvo mi je bilo što sam imao priliku putujući kroz Srbiju da upoznam žene iz različitih delova zemlje koje rade na očuvanju srpskog kulturnog nasleđa.
Danas želimo da vam približimo i pokažemo neke od rukotvorina za koje su zaslužne dame članice naše etno mreže koje neguju svoje zanatske veštine. Ako osjećate da možete da se oprobate u jednoj od tih veština, na samom ulazu u prostoriju je festival rukotvorina, gde možete videti takozvano filcanje. U donjoj prostoriji je druga grupa naših zanatlija.
Bogata ponuda proizvoda sa motivima Uskrsa privukla je veliki broj kupaca, odnosno ljubitelja tradicionalnog načina izrade nakita, pletenih i vezenih predmeta, kao i starih, ali ne i zaboravljenih tehnika poput ručnog vajanja vune. Povodom obeležavanja Internacionalnog dana Made in Italy i otvaranja smotre Italian Fashion in Belgrade, u ambasadi Italije u Beogradu 10. aprila organizovano je venecijansko veče. Događaj je upriličen u saradnji sa Gost i Luxury Consulting i Italijanskim institutom za kulturu, a prisutni su imali priliku i da premijerno pogledaju dokumentarni film Duždev krojač. Svečanost u rezidenciji otvorio je poznati tenor venecijanske opere Francesco Meli, koji je izveo neke od najlepših operskih arija sa repertoara operske kuće La Fenice uz klavirsku pratnju Davidea Cavalija. Gostima su se između ostalih obratili njegova ekscelencija Luka Gori, ambasador Italije u Srbiji, i Aleksandar Đorđević, autor dokumentarnog filma Duždev krojač. Ove godine venecijansko veče i manifestacija Salon of Excellence, koja je trajala od 10. do 18. aprila, bili su inspirisani autentičnošću ručnog rada umetnika iz Venecije. Upravo jedan od njih je najstariji venecijanski krojač Franco Pupato, zvezda dokumentarca Duždev krojač. Uprkos godinama Pupato i dalje, isključivo rukama, kreira po meri odeću visoke mode, a među klijentima su mu potomci najstarijih porodica Duždeva iz Venecije. Umeće venecijanskih majstora predstavljeno je u salonu Italijanskog instituta za kulturu, gde su posetioci mogli da vide ručno nizane perle, najkvalitetnije radove od pliša, svile i čipke, da saznaju više o proizvodnji luksuznih venecijanskih parfema i čuvenog Murano stakla. Autorka izložbe je venecijanka Jelena Vesić, a poseban deo događaja bio je okrugli sto na temu Budućnost ručnog rada u eri veštačke inteligencije. Pružajući doprinos razvoju privredne saradnje Srbije i Švedske, Privredna komora Srbije uz podršku ambasade Švedske u Srbiji i Business Sweden organizovala je u Privrednoj komori Srbije konferenciju Održiva partnerstva i švedska iskustva u vođenju zelene tranzicije.
Današnji događaj je dokaz čvrste saradnje i zajedničkih vrednosti između naših internacionalnih partnera. Moj tim i ja smo veoma zahvalni zbog današnjeg događaja.
Kako kažu organizatori, cilj konferencije bio je da se kompanijama predstave aktuelni projekti radi daljih ulaganja u navedene oblasti, kao i trendovi u pogledu pozicija međunarodnih investicionih banaka u odnosu na potrebne investicije u zelenu tranziciju Srbije. Takođe, cilj je da se otvori konstruktivna diskusija između predstavnika struke, kompanija i donosilaca odluka.
U Švedskoj živi 118.000 građana koji su iz Srbije. To je takođe snažan osnov za oko 200 švedskih ili sa Švedskom povezanih firmi koje posluju i zapošljavaju hiljade ljudi u Srbiji.
Dobrodošli u Srbiju, zemlju Nikole Tesle i Mileve Einstein, Novaka Đokovića i Nikole Jokića. Vi kao naši partneri danas ste u zemlji Ive Andrića, koji je dobio Nobelovu nagradu za književnost 1961. u Stokholmu.
Nakon uvodnog dela organizovane su i dve panel diskusije, švedsko iskustvo i znanje kao doprinos zelenoj tranziciji u Srbiji i kako podstaći zelene investicije, uz učešće predstavnika kompanija, državnih agencija Švedske, međunarodnih finansijskih institucija i eksperata